A couple days ago, Kirby made his debut on the Nintendo Switch platform with Kirby Star Allies. The twist of this game involves Kirby befriending enemies in the game and having them team up with him on his adventure. This new mechanic is pretty deep and is a big part of why I like as well as why I'm a little bit disappointed in this game. Let's take a look at it. So the world has been overwrought with these dark hearts that have essentially possessed the inhabitants. As usual, when everything is falling apart in this universe, we can find Kirby passed out under a tree. Like always. Does this guy do anything but sleep when he isn't saving the world? Immediately, you'll be introduced to the Make Friend maneuver, where you can throw a heart at an enemy to turn them good and have them fight alongside you. Up to 3 of these enemies can be set to companions at one time. To get others, you have to remove someone from your current party, swap them out. Beyond combat, you'll need certain teammates to get around specific obstacles or puzzles. Obviously, Kirby can have any ability he wants, so when you're doing some of these puzzles and that, he can fulfill one role, but say when you have to do something like light a fuse that also has to pass through some waterfalls, well, you need to get some umbrellas to block the water, as well as get a character with fire abilities to light the fuse. These typically aren't brain busters or anything, but they'll make you use your head just a little bit. As you free some of the mainstays in the series from the curse, King DDD, Meta Knight, etc., you'll gain access to them as team-up characters as well. And you can have multiple of these legends with you at one time, so it's cool to sort of, build up this dream team of Kirby characters to go around smashing with. You'll also need a full squad, as some of these team moves that you'll need to progress at certain times require 4 characters. They did some cool stuff here with the Ball of Doom. I don't remember what the actual name of it was called, but you just roll down a hill, decimating everything in your path. I like the bridge one a lot personally. Your characters come together to make a bridge to get these key bearers across to a locked door. They add in some hazards as the game goes on, spikes in that, and you have to, raise and lower your guys to get the key holder to the door. I really like that one. That was some of the more fun I had in the game, was doing those sections. Now, your allies can also augment some of your powers as well as each other's with elemental traits. If you're, say, using a sword and call for a buff with a fire ally, they can imbue it with fire. So now you can use your flame sword to get around obstacles that require fire abilities. And like I said, they can also power up each other to make your team as a whole increasingly powerful and more useful. And the power factor is where I start to take a bit of an issue with this game. As a 4-man squad, you are pretty much unstoppable. The standard enemies, you feel kind of bad for them, as your party will just roll up and curb stomp them into oblivion. Like, oh yeah, DDD wasn't scary enough on his own? Well, wait till I electrify his hammer. There will be these rooms, for instance, where enemies just keep spawning and you have to defeat them all to progress. The idea of something like this is to, overwhelm you, to Zerg rush you. But the feeling is the opposite. You're just massacring these enemies. They stand no chance. Like I said, I started to feel kind of bad for them as the game went on. And the same goes for the bosses. You'll overwhelm them. They can't handle it as they're getting constantly bombarded from every angle by your allies. Even if somebody goes down, you can quickly revive them. And yeah, it's just nothing seems to stand a chance against you. Now, I'm not saying I have a problem with the game being easy, but with all the work that has gone into making these allies mechanics, it seems like a huge missed opportunity with the way you can just steamroll through all the enemies in the game. Like a lot of these boss fights, they're cool boss fights in terms of the design, their attacks, etc. But it doesn't really matter when they barely do any damage to you and you can just smoke them with ease. Same with a lot of the enemies. There are some that are, weaker to specific damage types, but it doesn't matter because you just surround and destroy them almost as fast as you would if you had the proper elemental damage. Now, I don't want to put this game on blast too much. If you're a big Kirby fan, I still would recommend this game. I think you'll have a lot of fun trying the different things, putting together the dream teams with the mainstays in the franchise. The game looks great. It doesn't run at 60 frames per second, unfortunately, but I think the level design, the characters, everything's really bright, colorful, beautiful. I think the music is really great, but I think a lot of people they're not going to find the value in it. I also think this is fantastic for parents with, say, young kids. This is a great one to play with someone who isn't very adept at games. You don't have to worry about restarting all the time in that. The game does have 4-player co-op, which, geez, if you had 4 competent players, I don't even want to imagine the destruction you'd be causing, because even though, you know, I'm playing solo and I'm with 3 CPUs who aren't exactly the brightest, I mean, we're still just wrecking everything. No online, though, at this point. I don't think that's really gonna make or break this game for a lot of people, but I could see people being irritated by this, as obviously the co-op is a big draw. But yeah, for the big Kirby fans, the folks with little kids, I think it's great. I think the kids, they'll get a big kick out of seeing all the different power-ups in that. So yeah, overall, I think this is a fine game. It just had the potential to do a lot more with these mechanics that the devs, obviously, they spent some time on. I feel like they were more focused on making sure that anyone could get through the game without much difficulty than thinking up some interesting scenarios that may have been more challenging. And again, that's totally fine. But with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Kirby Star Allies in the comments. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.